Riot's childhood was a struggle for basic survival. Her falling herb world beginning introduced her to the reality of an exhausted and violent planet. With its resources spent, its atmosphere barely breathable, and the idea of feeling safe, a far-fetched fantasy. In this turmoil, her ability to fight and choose those that fight beside her were the only things that separated her from death. A chain of violent decisions and risky raids led to her rising the ranks of the Wukwo Raw clan, who dominate her sprawling city and much of the southern hemisphere of her planet, and who have their sights set on higher prizes. Riot knew that the Yttakin spirits were with her, and a deep belief in her own ability to come out on top formed. Her expertise led to her specialism, leading both on-planet and low-Earth orbit raids, claiming cargo, taking out competition, and extorting traders' guilds. Her combat prowess led to a ticket off-world, to a Rimworld in a nearby system known as Hodus Pentimus. Hodus is a luxurious Eden when you come from a depleted herb world with fresh air, an unpolluted biosphere, and to Riot's amazement, untouched wilderness. This bounty is why the Raw clan have been establishing settlements and fighting for control here for decades. Her visions started while in cryptosleep, en route to this Rimworld. At first, it was a whisper in her frozen mind, but over time it became a constant chant of knowledge and connection that increased and swelled in volume as her transport approached Hodus Pentimus. When she woke from cryptosleep, she was changed, enlightened with thoughts from the parallel spirit world. All Yttakin grow up with stories of the spirits, and that the mightiest of these spirits are the spirits of war. Riot knew she was now on a path of glory from destruction, for she was spirit-told and they could speak through her. As final preparations continued to land on Hodus Pentimus, she persuaded two of her fellow crew members, Cami and Kolursh, to come with her, and so they commandeered some drop pods and escaped to the surface, making the most of this opportunity for a new beginning and taking the chance to no longer be shackled by the hierarchy of the Raw clan. After a few weeks of evasion on the planet, Riot felt they were in the clear and they could start their new journey to forge their own path. And so we returned to our trio, with crops in the ground, their first meat supply established, and a warm room to sleep in. Their initial optimism is certainly justified, but who knows where their journey will take them. Cami finishes the extension and can then construct their first bedroll and a research table for Riot. There are a few unlocks that these three need before their pirating days can properly begin. To celebrate this progression, she dives straight into a nearby mud bath. You do you, Cami. The next morning, Riot is still planting rice. Cami starts the next room by using some more bricks from nearby structures. Kolursh finds a fresh porcupine corpse, and as she goes to collect it, Riot notices a timber wolf menacingly heading her way. Quick to join back up with the others, she runs to them as the timber wolf attacks, seeking easy food. It turns out that 3 armed pirates are not an easy meal, and despite Riot taking a bite to the left leg, they quickly remove the threat. Kolursh turns the Timberwolf into lunch, and then tends Riot's leg, having the most medical experience of the 3. Cami takes over planting as Riot heals. The sooner the rice is growing, the sooner they'll have a stable supply of food. Kolursh spots a hare that has become Manhunter, but given our pirates have already taken out a Timberwolf, a hare doesn't feel like that much of a threat, and soon an arrow stops its rampage. Kolursh then spends the rest of the day unsuccessfully shooting at a turkey. Riot's leg wound has healed, and so she gets back to work at the research bench, with complex furniture being the first thing on the list. Fresh and ready the next morning, Kolursh gets embarrassed again by the same turkey, firing another small forest worth of arrows at it. Still, with no luck, she moves on to hunt some deer instead. While doing this, they decide to finally name their faction, Spirit War, and this settlement, Raiders River. With the spirits appeased, they finally guide an arrow true, and Kolursh proudly returns with some hunt. With their 6th day beginning, the first few rice plants are harvested, and the trio are starting to feel that most of the basics are out of the way. However, there has been a distinct lack of destruction, and it is that same afternoon that a raider, Bones, from the Gas Society, looks to try their luck against our trio. Bones quickly realises that they've made a bad decision when 2 Yttakin and a Neanderthal charge excitedly towards them. Riot uses a war cry to get a squirrel to fight alongside them, but with an arrow hit and some swift strikes from our knife-wielding melee fighters, the squirrel is too late to get involved. The spirits will be pleased. Later that evening, Ryot communes with those spirits and becomes the leader of the Spirit War Ideologion, unlocking combat drive and leader's speech. Kalursh is also assigned as the spiritual guide, unlocking healing and converting abilities. Ryot then joins Kalursh on a hunting session to try and get enough hide for another bedroll, and they were successful, so they finally all have somewhere comfy to rest. The next morning starts with training Scylla, Gwen and Treve, allowing the dogs to rescue any of our colonists if they go down, as well as fight back if we end up in a particularly desperate situation. Cammy finds a little time to mine some more steel, and she builds a butchering table. A little later, we are alerted that a knight from the Empire, the Dominion of God, needs help dealing with an angry rat, and with the possibility of getting a Psylink, Ryot accepts. It feels right for Ryot, our leader, to build the relationship with the Empire. To our trio's surprise, Lenocia the Knight gets stuck in working on our extension, and so Ryot heads off to fight the rat. Lenocia's shuttle arrives, but she helps out for a little longer, deconstructing some more of the Eastern ruin, and before she leaves, Cammy calls a party and the four of them celebrate the day of the Rat Knight. Ryot instantly accepts her novice ceremony, and a team from the Empire arrive to bestow her new title and psycast. The three can't help but be envious of the armour and weapons of the protection detail from the Empire. They're used to fighting in similar gear, and returning to arrows and knives does make them feel vulnerable. As the bestowing ceremony begins, thunder strikes as the spirits celebrate Ryot's increase in power. She gains the ability Pain Block, a psycast that makes someone fight on when they otherwise might drop unconscious. Feeling a renewed sense of purpose from the spirits, and seeing the high-tech equipment of the Janissary soldiers, Ryot performs her first leader's speech to make sure the three are aligned with their grand plans of destruction. Her speech is inspirational, a very positive omen. Kalursh starts turning excess meat and rice into pemmican, which they can take on raids. Soon after, Ryot finishes the complex furniture research, and so Cammy can use these learnings to start work on 3 wooden beds. The three are surprised when 2 Thrumbos enter the map, large and incredibly powerful creatures. Initially, they decide it's too much a risk to fight these Thrumbos, but the trio are full of energy to please the destructive nature of the spirits, and those horns look like great melee weapons. Kalursh heads out with her recurve bow and lets an arrow fly. It perfectly hits the Thrumbo, causing it to start to charge in her direction. She then bellows her animal war cry and summons the other Thrumbo to her aid. She then turns and very bravely tries to get the hell out of there. The summoned Thrumbo chases the angry Thrumbo, and so as Kalursh hides out of sight in the base, the 2 creatures fight. Cammy and Ryot exchange their knives for bows, and the 3 head out to take potshots at the battling pair. Volley after volley hit the angry Thrumbos as the beasts clash with their head blades. Finally, the Warcry summoned Thrumbo wins the fight. However, it has also been significantly weakened by the battle, and so Ryot, Cammy and Kalursh hide in the base and get some sleep, and then first thing in the morning, head out. It tries to attack, but its movements are slowed by the injuries from yesterday, and so the 3 can keep moving away from it, firing more arrows as they go. Kalursh uses the marsh to allow Cammy and Ryot to keep firing, and it finally falls. 2 Thrumbo corpses secured for our trio. I'm sure the spirits will be impressed by the destruction of such powerful creatures. With the Thrumbos brought back to the base, our trio starts to get back to work when a new raid appears. To their horror, they've been found. The Wookwo Raw clan, whether by luck or by tip-off, are attacking. Kalursh immediately starts butchering the Thrumbos to get at those horns. It becomes apparent that this group from the Raw clan must be here by chance, because they surely would have sent more if they'd known who this settlement belonged to. With Cammy and Ryot now equipping the Thrumbo horns, they feel prepared to fend off this attack and take positions. Kalursh uses a war cry on a nearby lynx, buying time to shoot some arrows. Retreating behind the other 2, the first Yttakin is then drawn into the waiting horns and is immediately cut down. The second Yttakin, called Warkitten, quickly follows, although she is knocked down and not killed outright. Looking to be an able-bodied Yttakin, they decide to imprison her. They might be able to persuade her to join the cause. The research room becomes a temporary prison, and Klersh patches her wounds. Riet did take a few bruises in the fight, but otherwise they remain largely unscathed. Klersh desperately tries to cook up all of the thrumbo meat, which they're being slightly overwhelmed by. With Yttakin settling into prison life, they are already incredibly fed up, and she has a crisis of belief. This is incredibly fortunate for the trio's conversion efforts, because her iron-willed nature makes reducing her certainty considerably harder. To make the most of this opportunity, Klersh then begins a conversion ritual to persuade Yttakin of their connection to the spirits, and how this new path they have taken is the correct one for her too. The ritual is effective, dropping her certainty even more down to 10%. Soon after, Riet spots a group of pigskins attacking from the north. Unlike the last raid, these pigskins are not armed with knives, but with guns. Luckily, there are only 2 of them. To not be shot, they decide to lie in wait inside the base, hoping they'll go right into the bedroom without having a chance to shoot. However, Klersh hears them approaching near a door on the other side of the room, with one just the other side of that door. Knock knock. Who's there? A thrumbo horn to the face as Cammy comes swinging out the door and slashes several times, taking down the pigskin. Hearing the cries of their fellow pigskin, the other one decides to flee. However, our trio are not done yet. As they run to intercept, the first pig gets back up, and Klersh, who was trying to equip their auto pistol, has to fire a quick close quarters arrow, killing that pigskin outright. Cammy has now caught up with the other, and so Klersh equips the pistol. After a few brutal attacks from their thrumbo horns and a few pistol shots, we stop attacking, not wanting to kill this pig. The plan is to let them fall from their wounds so we can steal their flak vest. The trio shadow pick up as he tries to escape. As he nears the edge of the map, they throw a few punches to try and knock them down without killing them. While it's a shame to not get an untainted flak vest, Klersh will be very happy to have her hands on that excellent auto pistol, which is a big upgrade over the recurve bow. The warm clothing could also be useful, at least until Riet finishes the next research of complex clothing. As she researches, she gets a feeling from the spirits that a raid possibility is finally here. A logging worksite run by the Fenbut Cabo faction. While the wood itself is not useful, they have been looking forward to a nice raid for several weeks, and so they'll seize upon this opportunity soon. The next day, Klersh finally uses the excellent pistol for some more hunting, and progress is made converting Yttakin and building the animal pen. Cammy finishes the pen as a psychic soothe hits the area, a clear sign from the spirits to get busy raiding. And so, early the next morning, one final discussion convinces Yttakin that the Spirits' War is a superior ideology. As if to prove it, Klersh and Riet then head straight out to the enemy logging site. The logging structure is spotted, and our 2 experienced raiders use the natural cover of an ancient tank and a monument to get close to the loggers. Klersh fires off a few shots, all missing, but triggering the loggers to attack. Missing once more, Klersh signals to retreat around the corner of the monument and reposition. The knife-wielding logger called Garrison charges around the corner. Finally, a shot hits Garrison, who has been well and truly let down by Pepper, and Riet comes swinging with the razor-sharp thrumbo blade, instantly killing Garrison. They try to catch up with Pepper, but she dodges all the auto pistol shots and escapes away into the forest. Riet can't help but feel that letting Pepper get away won't have impressed the spirits. They make their way back to Raiders River before it gets dark and can catch up with Cammy. She made good progress in the fields and collecting more wood. With summer ending, the weather will start to turn and it will be too cold for anything to grow, and so the 3 really want to get out of here before that happens. The night passes without event, but the morning meals give Riet and Klersh food poisoning, and they have a chaotic day of throwing up, cleaning, and attempting to start recruitment attempts on a prisoner that they have also just given food poisoning. To make things worse, Riet catches some gut worms. All these health misfortunes are clearly a sign the spirits were so unimpressed by the limited destruction in that raid. What a terrible day. With the others resting and aware that news of their location may be spreading around the nearby regions, Cammy starts work on creating some wooden traps around the edge of the base. As night closes in, Riot climbs into bed and instantly hears that the spirits have sent a new challenge, a ranger being hunted by wasters from the Gas Society. Wanting to please the spirits, the three instantly accept, and the ranger, Nicholas, runs in from the northeast of the map, quickly followed by his pursuers. As Nicholas arrives, they give him a recurve bow, and the four of them head out to cut off the attackers. As they head around the edge of the marsh, the raiders come into sight, and Riot lets out a war cry, enraging a nearby grizzly bear. The bear crashes out of the trees and onto the first raider. In the dark, it is hard to make out who is who, and Nicholas and Kalursh keep firing into the ball of fighting in the trees. The bear kills another of the raiders, and before the final waster can flee, the bear is on them. The bullet then strikes the waster in the head, and all three of them are defeated. Kalursh gets a view of how badly injured the bear is, and fires a single shot to put it out of its misery. As Nicholas approaches the base, Riot gets a read of his unappealing combination of traits: nervous, psychopathic, and misogynistic. While they may have seemed to defend him, the true motivation of this fight was to please the spirits. Riot and Cammy jump on him, and soon Nicholas is no more. Make no mistake, Riot and her crew will do what they must to get ahead of this planet, and they don't have time for individuals like Nicholas. Just after the murder of Nicholas, Cammy and Kalursh watch as Riot is overcome with insane ramblings, channeling the will of the spirits. As she shouts out, a refugee arrives, looking for somewhere safe to stay. Cammy quickly buries Nicholas. It would be a bad first impression for the refugee to see what has happened here. The refugee is a hussar called Levin, a xenotype with excellent combat abilities. He explains to Kalursh that he only wants to stay for 7 days and is happy to do any task, and so Kalursh asks for some help hunting. This can be a test to see whether Levin really can contribute, or whether his fate may be something more similar to Nicholas. Kalursh starts firing at a megasloth with her auto pistol, and Levin stands prepared. As the megasloth charges to kill whatever has caused damage, Levin loops, dodges, ducks, and weaves through the trees, while Kalursh proves her aim by repeatedly hitting the megasloth. Sensing it is almost done, Levin goes in for the kill, and the final shot kills the megasloth. Impressed by Levin's commitment, Kalursh agrees that his help would be useful for the time being. While his spot in the group is not guaranteed, Cammy is pleased to see him settling down at the research bench. With Riot out of action for the moment, it's great to be making some research progress. Overnight, Riot recovers, and Cammy adds some shelves to free up some more floor space in the main room. Some visitors from a tribal faction pass through and gift us some silver. Perhaps their survival strategy requires protection bribes, and Riot certainly looks at them more favourably as a result. The next day, a caravan from the Dominion of God arrives at the settlement, asking for gold or slaves from our group. There is no way they would hand over Yttakin to the Empire, given her potential, but the Empire caravan waits by the base, just in case we change our mind. Kalursh suggests to the others that we use this opportunity to see what is in the ancient danger to the east, knowing we'll have the helping firepower of the Empire. Soon after, Levin and Kalursh use the 2 auto pistols to shoot a hole in the ancient danger's wall. It reveals that it's full of flesh beasts, monsters created by dark anomaly forces. Levin wonders whether this group of crazy spirit lovers were the right people to ask for help from as he runs back to the base, chased by those monstrosities. The flesh beasts close in on the Empire caravan, and they effectively shoot down all of them, although in the process they do lose one member of their group. Riot watches jealously at the destruction they cause. Levin then heads back to the ancient danger and fires a shot to open the crypto-sleep caskets, finding them occupied by 3 ancient soldiers. 2 quickly leave the map, and Kalursh tends to the final one. Within the ancient danger, our group finds a psychic animal pulsar, a bionic spine, and an advanced component. With Kalursh bringing them back, Riot then makes the call, and it is a risky one. Doing this will guarantee angering the Empire, but Riot cannot refuse such a good opportunity to destroy, and so she bolts awake from her dreams and activates the animal pulsar. Doing so causes every single wild animal on the map to turn manhunter, and they charge at the Empire caravan, who are the first available targets for their fury. Initially, it is a small trickle of the nearest animals, but quickly it expands as herds of other species rush in. An Empire trooper armed with a plasma sword gets himself isolated as a large group of caribou get up close. Soon, the whole Empire caravan is overwhelmed, unable to use their guns as they're in close quarters fighting. All the Empire troopers are equipped with death acidifiers, which destroys their gear on death. But luckily, those only kick in when they fully die, not when they get knocked down. And so our group now has a limited amount of time to get outside and strip the fallen soldiers. And so, with Levin once again being given the short straw, our raiding, risk-taking, desperate for advancement group of pirates man their own defence against the remaining animals. With 1 choke point and 3 expert melee fighters, our pirates are much more effective against the remaining animals. They guard the doorway, slashing at the animals with the thrumbo horns. And with that, the final animals are killed, and our team heads out to strip the gear from the remaining unconscious soldiers. This does cause the Empire to turn hostile against us, but in a world where multiple factions are already hostile, and with their own group, the Wookwo Raw clan, actively hunting them down, what is one more enemy? Today is a memorable day indeed, and Riot gazes around, admiring the destruction. This, surely, will gain the attention of the spirits. For their troubles, Riot can now equip a shield belt and marine armour, and Kalursh gains a gun link and a charge lance. 2 of the Empire soldiers still live, and so we capture them in the spare prison room, and Kalursh and Levin gain some medical experience tending to them. Levin has certainly proven himself so far, and even better, it appears the spirits are pleased, as a crash of cargo pods containing corn lands nearby. As they try to clear up from the chaos, and Kalursh tries to prep more meals for everyone, voices in the distance show another raid incoming. A nearby patrol of Empire troops must have heard about the missing Empire trade caravan and have come looking. Riot is currently out of action, and so it's a 3-on-3 fight. Levin readies himself near the trap and the door, and Cammy wakes up from getting a little rest. Unfortunately, she instantly throws a tantrum. It's really not the best time, Cammy, and she starts destroying items using her recently acquired plasma sword. We really pictured her using this on enemies, not our own walls and furniture, but hey ho, here we go. One of the Empire troopers approaches from the side and then unleashes a pulse of fire through the doorway, completely surprising Levin. Kalursh heads out the side door to get a flanking shot with the new charge lance, but his shot misses. Our group then retreats to the butcher's room and then push back into the main room as the trooper starts shooting at tantruming Cammy. Levin charges and attacks with his thrumbo horn, and Kalursh's next shot strikes true, killing the first trooper. 2 to go. The next trooper then pushes into the main room, and even Riot gets involved with this kill, despite still being on a smoke leaf binge. With the second trooper down, the final one flees, and despite Kalursh's best efforts, he can't catch up. The one with recon armour has only been knocked down, and so they can then strip that armour from him. It's now our second set, and Kalursh can equip it. Levin once again proves himself as one of the squad. Without him in this situation, and with both Riot and Cammy out of action, it could have spelled disaster for this group. It snows overnight, and Cammy harvests the final bits of rice before it starts to be destroyed by the cold. Yttakin, clearly inspired by the others' bad behaviour, enters a rage. Kalursh and Levin throw some punches to get her back under control. Later that day, it's Levin's turn for a mental break, and he decides to hide in bed and not work. The last few days have taken a big hit on everyone's mood, which wasn't helped by the accidental cooking of a squirrel, the ideology's venerated animal. We sell off some furs and weaponry to a passing trading group, and our pile of silver finally passes over 500 for the first time. The next morning, our pirates get their first encounter with the servants of Horrocks, a group of cultists who believe the planet Hodus Pentamus is a gift to them from their god Horrocks. They intend to psychically steal one of our colonists with a ritual, and so our pirates, all still at high risk of mental breaks, head out to intercept them. The first cultist tanks a shot from the charge lance, and then the pistol, and with the cultists closing down on our team, our shooters retreat, and Cammy gets ready to lead them around. While she does take an axe hit to the shoulder, the good shooting from her fellows, and then a final swing from her plasma sword, fells the other cultists. With Cammy patched up, Riot tries to cheer everyone up with an outlaw festival. The music from her drum thins the veil to the spirit's world, and the 4 of them try to move to its beat. But with the general mood being so low, the attempt fails, and they all agree it was a terrible festival. With another hit to morale, it seems things are not turning around just yet. To make matters even worse, the next morning, Levin bids his farewell. His 7 days were filled with chaos, danger, and hand-to-hand combat. Perhaps not the safe haven he hoped it might be, but without Levin, surely this group would already have fallen to one of those attacks. and Riot's dream could already be dead. Instead, it lingers on, a small but confident flame in her heart, dreaming of the riches from the spirits. It is a somber affair, watching Levin move off into the world. Soon, this group hopes to be following in his footsteps, adventuring off into the map. They were only ever meant to be staying here temporarily, and with the snow setting in, it is time for them to travel to new places. Our group have fulfilled their purpose here, with essential research done, new gear equipped, and the spirits whispering for more raids. After a few days of preparation, Riot finally manages to recruit Yttakin, an exciting step in this journey for the spirits. 3 becomes 4, and while she has a differing skill set to Levin, the group feels safer knowing they are 1 member stronger. Just as they are about to leave, a deserting soldier from the Empire shouts that he needs help. Being chased by Empire troopers, the group realises this is a good opportunity to potentially get some more guns. The Empire attacks, and the trooper Demetrios and Kalursh fire upon the approaching attackers, killing 1. They then retreat back into the building, and our melee fighters can kill the next, causing the 3rd one to run. This time, they don't get far. Demetrios then shares the location of 2 Psi-Link neuroformers, which will allow Riot to learn some more powers. With the stockpiles of pemmican and bedrolls ready, the 4 of them, the trooper Demetrios, and their dogs head out into the world, saying goodbye to Raiders River. They immediately head south and stop at a logging camp. Our group heads straight for the centre of the map, and Kalursh and Demetrios take down one of the loggers with their shots. The other logger returns fire, but a high-powered shot from Kalursh kills them. She's really getting the hang of the charge lance. Back on the world map, we head towards the outpost containing the Psi-Links, when 3 Neanderthals try to rob us. Making the very easy decision for a fight, they run at us. It's a bit more of a scrap than we expected, with blows rapidly being exchanged and our melee skills tested. And with that final blow, we win and can continue to head towards our destination. By the time we arrive at the outpost, our wounds from the scrap are mostly healed. We can break down a door to get a Psi-Link. With no hostiles in sight, Riot activates both Psi-Links and gains Blinding Pulse and Vertigo Pulse. We then finally spot the defending enemy, who has had to run from the middle of the mountain to the north to get to us. Despite their shield belt, they fall before they can reach us. We may be successfully winning fights, but we are also successfully eating our way through our food supplies, and at a quicker rate than we expected. Back on the road, we're starting to make progress, before we're attacked again by some man-hunting seals. Destroying them is another nice little bit of destruction for the spirits, but it's also an opportunity to hunt the muskoxen, which were on this map, cooking them up and replenishing our food stores. It couldn't have come at a better time, because our next caravan is a big one, all the way across the tundra and then the desert, trying to get to the warmer climates closer to the equator. Our group travels quickly, sticking to roads, and we soon pass the Ammonium Mountains. We make a few camps as we travel to hunt for some more food, but out here in the desert, we mostly only find iguanas. Moving onto a road to the west, we travel a little way, but by this point we're almost completely out of food, and so we decide to stop properly and grow some rice. Kalursh scavenges in the surrounding area and uses her charge lance to hunt an emu. Despite hitting, the emu then closes the distance, and she has to use her lance like a club and gets a hit on the emu's leg. With that hit, she is now faster and can create some distance for the killing shot. Kalursh got a little lucky there. Back at camp, Demetrios has a mental break and decides to attack one of our dogs, Scylla. The others act quickly, and Yttakin immediately kills the trooper with a single swing, triggering his death acidifier. Personally, I think that's a pretty reasonable response for someone attacking one of our dogs. While we wait for the rice, our group continues to search the surrounding area for more animals to hunt. We also get the opportunity to sell some goods to a trading caravan and can buy a few packaged survival meals. The food supply is still a real concern, and we desperately need more, or we will starve. After a few more days of searching, one of our hunting camps finally strikes the jackpot. Riot finds a herd of boomalopes. Careful to not blow herself up, she shoots the first one and can put out the fire on the first corpse. With Yttakin's help, they hunt some more and prepare all the meat to take back to their makeshift camp. It's just as well we found the boomalopes, because a cold snap then hits the desert, killing our precious rice crop just before it's ready to harvest. With all the meat from the boomalopes cooked up, our journey can begin again. We take the west road until it meets a road heading south towards the temperate forests. With one more stop for hunting, we restock our food supplies and get some more rest before the final push to the plains. Just before we arrive at the temperate forest, we spot an oasis. Our group starts work converting an abandoned building just to the south of the oasis. With the desert crossed, this seems a perfect stepping stone to begin establishing the spirits of war in this region. We set up the essential rooms and then get the opportunity to buy a book, a psychic insanity lance, and a sentient catalyst. We then get to work planting up the fertile soil by the oasis and accept an offer to look after some ibex from the divine chief of the Covenant of Yttakin. With some more research required, we'll be in this area for at least the next 15 days, and so we're confident we can complete the quest. Those days then start passing quickly, with stone cutting researched and some more production workshops built. Then, on one morning, a drop pod crashes nearby, and Kalursh rushes to see who has landed. It's a Neanderthal, and they are badly injured. Cami would love a fellow Neanderthal about, and with great construction skills, Heron Birodoa will be a useful addition to this crew if we can convert and recruit him. A few more days then pass by, and we can see the oasis base has caught the attention of a group of pigskins from the Pol Squabop Compact. They're well armed, and we must be particularly wary of the ones armed with grenades. They start to prepare to attack, and so we decide to take the fight to them. A few nearby animals are summoned to our side with war calls. This distracts the pigskins while Kalursh gets in position to start firing some shots. Over and over again we hear the charge lance fire out, and Kalursh is able to kill several pigs and injure a few others before they finally decide to advance towards our base. We retreat back, and while Kalursh draws one around the base, Yttakin waits within our doors and kills one of the grenade-wielding pigs before they can throw a single grenade. This causes the final pigs to break and flee. We have completely demolished the attacking group, another demonstration that the spirits are with us, and getting our hands on the grenades and molotovs is pretty nice too. A little later, we accept an offer to attract some man-hunting cougars in exchange for a masterwork book. We manage to pretty swiftly kill the cougars, but we do take some nasty cuts in the process. Shortly after, we then get attacked by a group of angry dromedaries. But with all our existing injuries, we decide to lay low and keep the doors locked. We then see that particularly injured Yttakin has developed a scaria infection in her head, and so we tend her with some good medicine, assign her the best bed, and use Kalursh's Preach Health ability to make sure she'll recover quickly. By morning, the dromedaries outside have calmed down, and a friendly trading caravan enters our map. We exchange a few goods, acquiring a book on building and crafting. As the evening draws in, Kalursh then successfully converts Heron Baroda to the spirits of war. Kalursh's ability and confidence preaching about the spirits has clearly grown over the last few months. And it is with these spirits in mind that the group get an important new decision to make. They hear of a starfighter pilot, Bowman, who is being chased by their old rivals, the Wukwo Raw clan. It will be good to clash again with the Raw clan, and the reports suggest 12 will be attacking, so we will surely have a decent fight. With our help offered to Bowman, Cammy uses some of the time before they arrive to construct some steel traps. A little helping hand to our damage, these traps will hopefully help us avoid getting overwhelmed by the greater numbers of the Raw clan. Cammy also constructs a torch for better visibility and shooting accuracy. With the preparations complete, we then see Bowman run into the map from the west. Bowman is a starfighter pilot, perhaps on the run after her ship was shot down by the Raw clan. With excellent intellectual and shooting skills, and maybe, most importantly, completely teetotal, she certainly seems perfect starfighter material. However, with the trait delicate, Bowman really doesn't want to be hit by a club. We then hear, entering from 3 different directions, the chanting cries of the Wukwo Raw clan, clearly aiming to surround Bowman. Little do they know, this starfighter pilot has managed to secure backup. 6 Yttakin attackers enter from the north, 3 from the northwest, and 3 from the southwest. They are all armed with melee weapons, and most have decent fighting skills. They immediately advance after Bowman, who is running to our base. Riot uses a war cry across the Oasis Lake to summon one dromedary, and Kalursh then does the same to another. Bowman gets to our base and initially picks up a heavy SMG, but switches to grenades, which we obtained from the pigskin raid. As our defenders get into position, Kalursh starts lining up a shot on Martin, a purple Yttakin from the southern group. A few more shots later and they are on us, and Martin falls to a trap. The next 2 Yttakin also trigger traps, causing the final member of the southern group to flee. One of the Yttakin decides to take out a little anger on one of our outside tables, before then hitting the final trap, meaning 6 of the Raw clan have now fallen or fled. 6 to go. With the traps used, Bowman is now safe to start throwing out grenade. The first nade is perfectly timed, knocking 1. The blue Yttakin avoids the grenades, but meets our blades instead, as the next grenade explodes behind them. With some slashes, 1, another, and another Yttakin are cut down, and the final one looks to run. With Yttakin on their heels, Cammy and Kalursh start tending the 2 unconscious Yttakin. This crew needs more members if they're going to achieve Riot's plan, and so we'll take this opportunity. Yttakin realises the final Yttakin might escape off the edge of the map, and so she uses her psychic insanity lance to bring them back to fight. It causes a burn, and they die of their injuries. Meanwhile, the others have prevented both prisoners from dying from their grenade, trap, and blade wounds, and they imprison Martin and Rinuk in the makeshift prison room. We can now turn our attention back to ourselves again, and all celebrate in a decisive victory against our old allies turned foes. The next few days are spent sleeping, cooking, cleaning, and building, as well as dealing with some prisoner infections. With chaos subsiding at the Oasis, everything is returning to normal until a blind healer enters our map, seeking to join us. Our group rests a while longer before heading out to hear what she has to say. She claims that she knows her skills are needed with us, and that she was sent here by an unknown force. Riot doesn't like the idea of an outsider having a connection to the spirits, and also gets the impression there is something she is not telling us. Riot moves back to Kalursh, who has been waiting with her charge lance, and gives the word. A high-charged pulse shot strikes the old woman, and she tanks it, pulling out a knife and letting out an ear-splitting shriek. Riot blocks a lunging knife thrust with her thrumbo horn, and Kalursh's next shot takes out the old healer. As she falls, an echo of similar screams emerge from the distance, rapidly getting louder. Concerned about what is coming, Riot then gets Cammy and Yttakin to join them at the door, but no threats appear. Then, out of nothing, a sight stealer appears, an invisible anomaly entity. Despite the impressive invisibility trick, it gets set on fire and dies. Several more rush out of the dark, but they're no match for our blades. Bowman then grabs the Molotov cocktails and sets the blind healer and sight stealer corpses on fire. Better to get rid of those properly. A little later, Kalursh begins a conversion ritual on Martin, which is so masterfully crafted that it convinces Martin to the Spirit War ideology in one go. During the ritual, another pair of Thrumbos enter the map. Using the same technique as our initial Thrumbo fight at Raiders River, some shots and a war call are deployed, aiming to get the Thrumbos to fight. However, this time, the lake complicates the fight, and some careful running away is used to avoid the Thrumbo's blade. Riot ends up pulling the attention of the man-hunting Thrumbo back towards the other one, and the two fight, and one eventually falls. As they head back to recover, the group looks at the sentient catalyst they bought. Perhaps, rather than securing one more Thrumbo horn for the group, they can instead secure an entire Thrumbo. The sentient catalyst vastly improves the chance to train a Thrumbo, and so Riot puts it at the top of her priority list. Even with her animal handling level of 14, she still only has a 25% chance to tame the Thrumbo, and her first attempt fails. We complete another quest as our animal guest's time here comes to an end, and a shuttle arrives to collect the ibex. Shortly after, our reward comes in a drop pod. A man named Andy arrives, and with 11 intellectual, we very much hope he can help us speed up our researching aims so we can start the next stage of Riot's plan. Riot's second taming attempt with the Thrumbo then also fails, and as she gets back to the base, she has to stop a prison brawl with a few swings of a wooden club, knocking Ranuk to the ground. Shortly after, perhaps with the stars still swirling behind his eyes, Ranuk is converted to our ideology, the spirits of war. With all the prisoners converted, we are closer to our next proper set of recruits. The next day, Riot heads out to the Thrumbo once again, and uses every trick in the book to tame the vast creature. The spirits sing in her mind as she heads back to the base, with a Thrumbo at her side, who will no doubt be a very useful asset. That evening, we look up to the sky and see some drop pods heading our way. They contain a mechanoid cluster and land to the west of our base. Initially dormant, this cluster has a countdown timer of 1 day, and so Cammy quickly heads out to wall off near the cluster to protect us from the turrets. In the night, a war merchant from the neutral Covenant of Issachar arrives. We trade some goods and sell off some weapons, and then our initial trio decide to head out on a quick raid of a nearby mining stockpile, bringing our Thrumbo with them. It's now been 8 days since the raid from the Wukwo Raw clan, so we're getting a little restless. As they head down the road, they know Yttakin is keeping our relatively new joiners in check, researching for us. Yttakin herself makes use of the time by working on a sculpture, because it turns out she's got a pretty good artistic eye. As they travel, we can zoom out and you can see the area we've currently settled. North is the desert we crossed from the boreal forest where Raiders River was located. It's been a year since Nicholas the Raider temporarily joined us, and it will be getting cold and heading into winter up there again. But down here, with its more equatorial climate, we do not need to fear the cold and snow, and can instead spend this winter progressing and raiding instead of hunkering down. We get to the mining camp and enter from the northwest. No enemies are currently visible, but we can see a steel mini turret, which we'll have to avoid. Our team moves south, and we keep the new Thrumbo with us. We push forward and still don't receive any resistance from the defenders. Cammy and Riot are tucked behind cover, and Kalursh engages the defenders from a distance. With her sharp shooting, they quickly fall. Kalursh then outranges the turret, and with a few shots, the base is secured. We clear the base, noting the steel, and deconstruct the battery to take with us. Cammy also harvests some of the wild heal root in this area to help top up our medical supplies, and we can relax, knowing the spirits have enjoyed another taste of destruction, and we head back towards our base. Back at the oasis, the trading caravan then leaves, choosing to walk past the now active mechanoid cluster. Three of the trading caravan die fighting the mechs, but luckily, the majority of them survive and get off our map unscathed. Shortly after, our own group returns to the map, bringing some loot and the stories of another victory A few more days of progress then follow, including creating a tailoring bench so Riet can make some much needed new clothing. Our t-shirts and trousers are currently a bit tattered. Yttakin also finishes her sculpture, which, with a good quality and a beauty score of 200, will really improve the look of our main room. It is the next day that our next target is acquired, a farming worksite to the south, with an actually useful reward, an impressive supply of chocolate. Riet did meet chocolate on her homeworld, but it was a rare and expensive commodity, mostly not given to low-status individuals like herself. But here, this world is hers, and she wants that chocolate. Arriving from the north, we get sight of the defenders. 5 Yttakin armed with knives, a revolver, and a smoke launcher. Kalersh manages to get off a few shots before the defenders counterattack. Riet and Kalersh use war calls to bring a few bison to help even the odds. Wrapping all the way around a hill, we engage again, and Kalersh takes pot shots while Riet and Cami head in for hand-to-hand combat. However, the revolver-firing Yttakin causes Cami to then choose to close in on them, and Riet goes to help the remaining bison. Unfortunately, it then falls, leading Riet in a 4 versus 1 close quarters fight. She grins as their knives glance off her armour, but even she knows this is a little foolish, and so she disengages as another shot from Kalersh smokes one of the enemy. She then turns to fight again, just as Cami closes in from behind the attacker, and they quickly fall. Sensing the turning favour, the remaining 2 try to escape, but both fall. We then loot the farming site, finding an impressive 405 chocolate. We decide to spend the rest of the night in their beds. The next morning, we accept a quest that causes waste packs to land on our home map. In exchange, we receive some jade and 6 Glitterworld medicine, which is vital to ensure our group can survive any particularly nasty infections or diseases. Shortly after, our researchers at the Oasis crack the code of electricity, which we can now harness. This is one of the key researches we needed to get done, and marks a real development from our humble beginnings. Kalersh, Cami, Riet and our Thrumbo return back to the base, and get back into the swing of their work, content with the recent raids. Shortly after, Kalersh manages the final persuasion to get Bradoa to join us, making him the 5th true spirit warrior. Other than the occasional punch-up, everything runs smoothly for a while, and our next research of smithing finishes, allowing us to craft simple helmets. Having some head protection certainly feels like a good idea, given our livelihood, and Riet will take up the responsibility of crafting them. Our sense of progress is suddenly interrupted by a concerning discovery: a strip of fleshy grey tissue, which has fallen from one of us during flesh liquefaction, suggesting that one of us, one of this small group of 7, is not what they seem. Yttakin examines the flesh further and identifies that it contains a biosignature for Gloomgen Z4, but requires more samples before she feels content that a surgical inspection would be able to identify this biosignature in others. Whoever caused this grey flesh could be infected with an anomalous monster, and may have caused this to spread to others. Did this flesh enter our base with Bowman, or Andy, or even someone as far back as Yttakin? Suddenly, the walls of our base feel less like the home of a group of like-minded individuals, and more like a prison where trust is washing away in paranoia. Sensing the tension, and knowing that the spirits are simply sending their group another test, Riet knows not to let this paranoia pull everyone apart. And so, she throws a festival of dominance, where the whole base can dance and party, reflecting on the success of their progress so far. Already, they have overcome so many threats. This group is not to be messed with, and the fact some of them might be infected with horrific parasites is just a side note in the amazing things they will achieve together. As the festival ends, they all actually enjoyed themselves and gain a nice mood bonus for the next week or so. Riet then gets to work making the steel simple helmets. As she works on one late into the night, she receives some information that an Archon of the Dominion of God is asking us to draw the attention of some mechanoids, who will set up a psychic droner. In exchange, our relations with the Empire will increase, but more importantly, we could get our hands on an excellent Eltec shirt, which would give Ryot enough psychic heat to cast her third Psycast, Vertigo Pulse. While we have little time to decide, the Totharth Mech Hive has clearly already chosen a path of violence against us as they send a raid our way. With 2 Lancers, 2 Tesserons and a Scorcher, we must prepare our defences against the metal machines. We know firsthand how strong Charge Lancers are, thanks to Kalursh, and so we remain in our base as the mechanoids attack. Our traps kill the 2 Lancers, and the other 3 mechs are quickly killed by our swords, horns and guns. With the momentum behind us and everyone available, we decide it's the right moment to deal with the mechanoid cluster nearby. Bradoa equips the smoke launcher our trio gained on their last raid, and uses it to create a smoke screen for Kalursh to shoot out from. Getting the mech's attention, Kalursh retreats behind the others as the Scorcher advances. It fires its flamethrower, but Cammy quickly destroys it with her plasma sword, and gets into cover from the beam repeater shots from the Tesseron. It advances, and together they take it down. Kalursh can then use the smoke to safely destroy the remaining turrets, defeating the whole cluster. With Mechanoid smashing successfully in their can-do book, Ryot accepts the Psychic Droner quest. Her Eltec shirt arrives in response, and she can equip it, increasing her neural heat from 29 to 31, meaning she can now access her highest Psycast. Later that night, we hear the unsettling scratching and digging of an infestation in the gap left by a steel vein. But it's only a small infestation of locusts, the flying bugs, a spleopede and a mega spider, which is quickly cleared up by our team. Insect jelly is always a nice reward. The next morning, we sell some unwanted clothes and weapons to a tribal war merchant, and then accept an offer to build a small monument in exchange for a pamphlet of mystical artifacts, mostly because it sounded intriguing. Soon after, Kalursh analyzes another grey flesh sample, and they are confident an inspection would identify the parasite. We begin with our first new joiner, Yttakin, and Kalursh performs the relatively quick operation to determine whether they are infected. By the time she finishes, she is sure Yttakin does not contain a flesh sample biosignature. Andy is next, and Kalursh confirms that they are clear too. We then try Bowman, and then Bradoa, but still no sign of the grey flesh biosignature. With all these all clear statements from Kalursh, it does start to become more possible that Kalursh themselves are infected. Infected doctors performing this operation are able to lie if it's in their best interest. A few more days pass by, with Martin and Renuk falling in love within their prison cell, making progress on the small monument, and Kalursh conducting a masterful conversion ritual to switch Bowman to the spirits of war. Bowman has been contributing for a long time now, and it's good to have them truly on board. Martin, the pink Yttakin, is finally recruited. With the tough trait and a passion for melee, we've found another close-range fighter for our crew. We also complete the monument, and are rewarded with the pamphlet, which reveals the location of a bandit camp with loot. Unfortunately, it is not only back across the desert, but it's also the other side of Vitaly's Downfall Bay. Not keen to rush to our own downfall, and still very reluctant to re-enter the desert, it's unlikely that we will go to this. Ryot, Cammy and Kalursh then decide to go out and attack the mechanoid structure that's causing a psychic droner in our region. We arrive and we see the turrets of the mech defense, as well as the building containing the droner. We easily loop to the north and then use the building as cover. We hear thunder crack in the heavy rain. Spirits are clearly happy to see our initial trio back raiding together. No matter how much our group grows, Ryot knows Cammy and Kalursh are her true companions. They break through the wall and easily destroy the droner without needing to fight the mechanoids. Back at base, we see Andy, Bowman, and the newly recruited Martin researching away, and Bradoa making progress mining more steel. While out on the map, our trio move from the psychic droner to a steel mining base, which has been reactivated. We've actually already attacked this location once before. Kalursh quickly takes out one from the mining group, and the rest of them chase us, throwing tox grenades. We keep repositioning to not get caught up in the toxic gas, and with some good shooting, it doesn't take long for the final one to fall. As we get back to base, we see Martin has convinced his lover to join, and we welcome Renuk to the group. The next few days are spent within our walls, as a large group of shamblers pass by. We use the time well, and we complete several researches, including flak armour to produce our own vests out of steel and cotton. Ryut produces the first flak helmet, which have superior stats compared to our current simple helmets. Any upgrades allow our group to be just that little bit tougher in a fight. But there are 2 upgrades our group only knows rumours of. When Ryut first dreamed of her new calling back in the cryptosleep casket aboard the Wukro Raw Clan spaceship, she was told of 2 artifacts of great destructive power. A plasma sword called Vizan Surmar and a Zeus hammer called Zan Vengagur. The whispers of knowledge connecting to these items enter her mind, and she identifies a nearby ancient complex with information about this foretold Zeus hammer. We send out a group to visit the ancient complex, but en route choose to respond to a distress signal from the Benkik Sul faction. We arrive at a settlement that has been overrun with flesh. We use a war cry to summon a megasloth to our side, who quickly ends up in a brawl with a tough spike. We use this as cover to get closer to the buildings, and the megasloth wins its brawl. This seems to trigger more flesh beasts to emerge from a nearby pit burrow. The 4 of us and our Thrumbo fortify the closest room as they attack the megasloth. With it finally falling, they advance on us, but our 4 blades take out the beasts easily. Clearing out the nearby flesh, we discover a shard within a flesh sack, and then take out a few more beasts that attack. With the area safe, we loot the buildings and then pack up to head towards the ancient complex. Back at our base, the rest of our group, Bradoa, Bowman, Andy, Martin, and Renuk, starts to pack all our things. We have tamed some dromedaries to help carry everything. We cross paths with all 5 of these colonists here at the Oasis, and it's been an area of progress and growth for our faction. But we are outgrowing it, and it doesn't offer everything we now need. Ryut's plan has determined we must head further into the temperate forests. Meanwhile, Ryut, Kami, Kalursh, and Yttakin make it to the ancient complex and start to establish a temporary structure for us to stage our attack on the complex and for the others to come and meet us. Their group arrives that evening, and the 9 members of the Spirit's War settle down for sleep with the intrigue of the ancient complex and the uncertainty of where they head next ahead of them. The next day, exploration begins. Our group uses grenades to break their way into the first room, which contains a few insects. With them out of the way, we advance into that room, only to trigger an unstable fuel node, which explodes. We find 2 of the terminals we need to hack as we explore, but one of them is engulfed in fire as another unstable fuel node goes off, and so we start hacking the other one. Meanwhile, the rest of the complex is explored, with only a pikeman and a scyther posing any threat. With all 3 terminals hacked, we discover secret information about Zan Vengagur, and hear voices from the edge of the map. But it is just a few tribals looking to capitalise on a potentially weakened group, and they quickly come to regret that decision. We then return to the road and travel southeast, deeper into the Creo Banro forest. We reach a key location, a spiderweb of roads connecting out from this one spot, with several nearby trading settlements. We split the caravan and Kalursh and Riot scout the closest tile to the junction. Riot finds a nice spot to meditate with the spirits, and Kalursh goes for a swim, confirming that this is indeed the next location for our group to stage their raids from. Our other caravan joins us, and an all too familiar process of setting up a base begins again. We choose to set up just north of an ancient danger, which happens to be just south of a large area of fertile soil. A few days in, and our base is becoming defined. Using nearby mountains, we can establish a large area to wall off and grow our crops. We also have enough space to plan bedrooms for all our group. While we set up, we also had the opportunity to buy a few better helmets from a passing trader. It is at this point we get another offer from the spirits. A sanguiphage called Glasses is looking to host a meeting at our new base, and in exchange they offer up providing a xenogerm implantation. This essentially is the ability to turn one of our colonists into a vampire. Before we accept, we try to get as much of our outer wall completed as possible, but then it is time, and Glasses and the other sanguiphages arrive. Their meeting starts, and pretty much instantly, a group of sanguiphage hunters from none other than the Wukwo Raw clan attack, seeking to kill our guests. They may be sanguiphage hunters, but we are Wukwo Raw clan hunters, and we set up our defences and battle commences. In all that chaos, we only managed to down one member of the Raw clan, who we strip and capture, also gaining us a new set of recon armour and a recon helmet. We then get our reward, and with the spirit's approval, Riot accepts the xenogerm replanting herself. It will take a few days for her genes to adjust to being a sanguiphage, but not only will she gain new abilities, but she'll also get a permanent mood boost, because she is a body modder and has dreamt of additional enhancements to herself. While Riot is recovering, and with us still healing from some of the wounds we took in the last fight, we are attacked again, and this time from breaching mechanoids. We attempt to draw them into some summoned animals, but the distances are too far. We get a few shots off, but are wary. The mechanoid weapons can one-shot kill any of our colonists. A scyther chases and then falls in our trap tunnel, and Cammy draws more attention, made safer by her shield belt and our best armour. Kalursh and Ranuk then head out to try and take down the termite, and are rewarded with 2 direct hits from its weapon, which also breaks a hole into our base. Our melee fighters take out the remaining scyther, and our guns manage to take out the termite, but Bowman takes a lancer shot in the process. We retreat back inside, with Martin taking the next lancer shot. Cammy and Yttakin then try to close down the remaining mechs, but Yttakin is the next hit, taking a shot to the leg. We reach them, with Cammy and our Thrumbo being the first to swing at the mechs. While we did win, one of our group really could have lost a limb or been killed outright in that fight. We'll have to be more careful in the future. Riot recovers from her gene enhancements and can trade with an exotic goods trader, selling a lot of our furs and unneeded weapons in exchange for a psychic reader, which Andy can then install, making use of an inspired surgery. This will give Riot an edge in social situations, giving her benefits like improved exchange rates and better social interactions. The group have finally completed the initial wall around our base and are starting to establish a reliable food supply, with rice filling the fertile soil and potatoes the rest. With our group a little bigger, our new joiners are taking care of the main logistics, which means our trio are freed up to go and raid the first enemy worksite that appears. It's a bit unfair to the tribals at this stage, who really stand no chance against us, but it's nice to get our hands on the 600 pemmican and furs that they had collected. We also managed to buy a charge rifle from a trader, a really nice upgrade to our firepower, and Briadoa manages to use a construction inspiration to produce a legendary marble Game of Ur board, a very nice upgrade to our board game tournaments. Our next few days are pretty calm until we have another psychic drone attack, this time on our map. We take on the Centurion and other mechs that are guarding the droner, primarily letting Kalerj snipe at them with her charge lance. With a few taken out, we then advance, and in Riot's case, leap towards the mechs, and swiftly take out the rest one by one. As we get back to the base from that fight, another raid comes in from the Neanderthal faction, Ben Kixul. It might not look like it, but this is a ball of 16 Neanderthals. They choose to walk past a grizzly bear, who just happens to attack them, and then around the corner where we are waiting. We shoot into them and trigger the Thrumbo Roar, Riot's combat command, and throw tox grenades. We do start to get a little overwhelmed, and our Thrumbo tanks quite a lot of hits, allowing us to get to the upper hand again, and we break the attackers. Our kitten does get knocked down, but climbs back up again shortly afterwards. We're really pretty wounded after those fights, and got the closest we have to losing a member in a while. It's good to know that with raids of this size, we're starting to really need more firepower, or to make use of the trap tunnel and killbox in our main room. We've managed to capture 3 of the Neanderthals, who can join B'Turk in our prison, and provide blood to fuel Riot's abilities. Riot is getting more and more familiar with her new powers, and the spirits are continuing to speak to her, so it's clear all our destruction is not going unnoticed. It takes a while to recover from the Neanderthal raid, but when we do, we finally decide it's time to open the ancient danger we tucked our base next to. We've been meaning to do it for a while, and so Cammy and Bowman work to break through one of the walls. Inside, we find several flesh beasts and a group of crypto-sleep caskets. A shot from Bowman opens those caskets as several tri-spikes target Cammy. She retreats up the trap tunnel, with our wooden spike traps taking out the monsters. Back inside the ancient danger, several of the crypto-sleep casket soldiers are fighting the remaining tough spike. Like always, we are hoping for downed colonists to get at their armour before it can be tainted. The soldiers inside manage to kill that tough spike, and we drop our weapons and throw some punches. We manage to drop one and can get their armour, but the other dies. In total, we loot some Glitterworld medicine, some gold, plasteel, components, the recon armour, a flak vest, a biomutation pulsar, which may be useful, and a few guns. We also capture Ash, Jenny, and Weaver, and use Riot's coagulate ability to prevent them from bleeding out from their wounds. Riot decides it's time to take some others on a raid, and so Bowman and Renuk join her to take out a farming worksite. Bowman triggers the raid, and with some repositioning, they quickly take out the site with good shooting. The site doesn't contain too much value, but the pemmican and their heaters are still a solid reward. Our raiders return back to base, and are settling down for the evening when strange sounds come from the prison room. B'Turk, one of the Wukwo Raw Clan raiders, dies of their injuries and reveals a metal horror from within them. We open up the door and engage with the abomination. With blades and shots from a charge lance and charge rifle, the metal horror falls. Everyone wants to be relieved that the metal horror has finally been found, but with the grey flesh turning up way before B'Turk arrived, the speculation of its source has still not been resolved. We then get the next step for finding out about the Zeus Hammer, by forcing a spacecraft to land at our base for us to hack. It lands and we fortify the area to prepare for some mechanoid raids, which turn out to be completely weak sauce. The hack completes, setting us up for the next step in our search. Riot then starts her death rest, a multi-day coma-like state that she has to complete every so often. We have managed to do some research around this and have constructed a death rest accelerator to help speed up the process. In this state, she finds her connection to the spirits is as strong as ever, and the next steps for heightened destruction become clear to her. While she is asleep, an important ceremony takes place. Bowman, who first joined us being hunted by the Raw clan, is being promoted to the role Aimpert. This allows her to activate the marksman command, causing all our shooters near her to gain increased accuracy and reduced aiming time. Then, with Riot's death rest completed, our pirates have an outlaw festival, bashing on drums and shouting praise of the spirits. In response, the spirits send Winbut, a healer, who instantly joins. The group brings Win up to speed on their plans. When he hears of the grey flesh situation, he suggests a new round of inspections to try and identify the monster. As Kalursh has done most of the inspections, she volunteers to go first, but once again, all is clear. Win then begins the next inspection on Cammy, but isn't finding anything. Clawing out of Cammy's torso, the metal horror emerges, using its blades to cut out of its host. Win shouts for help, and Riot engages, with Win Bowman providing fire support, while Kitten joins just in time to help kill it. With some quick medical treatment, Cammy can be patched up, and remarkably survives the ordeal. It turns out Cammy first picked up this infection when we engaged the sight stealers all the way back at the Oasis, and it's a big relief to no longer have to worry about who is infected. Over the next week, Kalursh, Riot and Bowman raid another 3 work sites, and then our researchers are put in contact with an individual who is researching ancient relics. He offers to send a shuttle. We agree, and soon a select group of our warriors find themselves climbing out of the shuttle into a strange and unfamiliar landscape, filled with thick smoke and a biome dominated by fungi. Hidden among this is an ancient complex, and our group breaks in and clear room by room. They find the first terminal, which Bowman starts hacking, and some loot stored in hermetic crates. With all the terminals identified, Riot and Ranuk start their hacks, and with those complete, the next hints to the location of Sanven Gargur are obtained. On their return, the others notice Riot spending a lot of time meditating with the spirits, and while she remains involved with the group, she certainly seems very intent on planning something. The whole colony then has to work together to harvest our crops as a cold snap hits the base, and we watch as the trees and plants lose their leaves and the world becomes brown and cold. Parallels to the dead world Riot, Kalursh and Cammy come from sneak into their minds. That polluted, toxic and brutal planet is not that far behind them, and Riot knows that the Raw clan and other competing factions would easily cause the same fate here on Hodus Pentimus. The cold snap ends, crops can be replanted, and preparation for a long journey begins. While Cammy is collecting ambrosia to the east of the base, she spots a raid, the first in quite a while, approaching. Our group prepares, and then a large horde of Impit tribals attempt to breach our walls. Several fall on their charge against us, and the fire caused by their arrows causes Riot to run back from the fighting due to her fire vulnerability. This was probably well timed, as a burst of fire comes from one of the Impit archers across our ranks. But our armour and clothes protect us from the worst of it, and the tribal attackers break. The next day, Riot, Cammy, Kalursh, Warkitten, Bowman, Win, and our Thrumbo leave the base with several of our pack animals, heading east. Loaded up with over 2,000 pemmican, the next journey is long, but their mission is simple. Trade for a few upgrades, and then, for the first time since they landed on this planet, directly attack a Wukwo Raw clan stronghold. Our caravan continues east, through the mountain pass, to another trading partner, and then beyond, towards the edge of the temperate forest. Back at base, a small blue bird joins the colony, and flies through our halls as our soldiers march to war. The caravan then makes it to a final stretch of dirt track that leads out into the desert, and they arrive close to the Wukwo Raw Clan stronghold. We wait until morning and then begin our attack. The stronghold is sheltered in a mountain range, perfectly defending the road that goes through a mountain pass. It is defended by turrets, and the moment we get into range, a mortar starts firing shells in our direction. Yttakin gets just into range to hit the mortar Yttakin with a psychic insanity lance, and then we retreat to the shelter of a nearby ruin. The advancing Raw Clan summon a few iguanas to join their forces, and so Win does the same with a nearby ostrich. Our ostrich and Grumbo take out their iguana and boar, and then the real fight begins. We revel in the destruction. An entire settlement killed. The Wukwo Raw Clan destroyed by Riot's command. Spirits swirl unseen around our pirates, who all stand bloody but alive in the battleground to the east of their Raw Clan base. Kalursh systematically uses her charge lance to destroy all the remaining turrets, making the area safe. Taking a moment for herself, Riot wanders the area with pulses of glory from the spirits in her mind. We temporarily take over the Raw Clan's base to recover from that fight. Soon, they are healed enough to begin the long march back to our base. Back at the base, smoke fills the air from a mechanoid smoke spewer that has arrived nearby, and our 6 remaining colonists hear the metallic noises of a mechanoid raid incoming. Determined to prove the base was left in good hands, they start their defence with some war cries on nearby lynxes. Andy then gets close enough to use an insanity lamp on the mechanoid termite, causing the other mechs to attack it. A mini turret is deployed to take some of the fire from the mechanoids as we retreat back behind our walls. The termite and that mini turret fall, and the mechs start shooting their way through the walls of the ancient danger. Our team wait behind cover inside, and when they advance in, Renuk deploys a hunter drone, which explodes, taking out several pikemen. With a few more shots, and then some swings at the final site, the mechs are defeated. Riot's raiding party make good progress back towards their home, taking out the smoke spewer while en route. And finally, the familiar sights of their friends come into view. After the greetings and stories of both teams' battle wins, Riot makes her way to her room. She reflects on recent events and thinks about how far they have come. She thanks the spirits and asks them, "Is this enough destruction? What more can we do?" It does not take long for her to get an answer. Nearby, the sound of explosions fill the air as a series of mysterious objects crash to the ground. Riot rushes over, seeing the shape of something she recognises, but has not seen since her first journey to this planet. Amongst the remnants of the crashed mechanoid platform, a still intact grav engine hums with energy.